Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to PSGL. We are here tonight for season number 31. It is round 7 of the championship as we take in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix here from Imola, the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. My name is James Head, going to be taking you to the stream as always on a Monday night, and joining me in the commentary box tonight with his face on the right-hand side as well is Mr. Evan Dalton. Evan, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. We are back for another, what should be a brilliant race around Imola. We're here at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Ferrari, one of the longer names on the calendar, but it's more famously known as Imola. We have a championship fight that is heating up for you folks. It is going to be a brilliant, brilliant race this evening. And one thing that's going to make it that little bit better, the championship leader, Shizu Riki, is a no-show. He will not be here tonight. I'm looking on my right-hand side to my screen, and he is not here in his McLaren. He will be replaced by Luca Kart for tonight, but it's going to be a gap that will be closed in the championship. He didn't manage to take a podium race for sure, and Imola's a track that probably doesn't promote as much overtaking, but we'll see what these guys can do this evening.
Yeah, there's going to be obviously very interesting indeed how everything is going to pan out, of course, out on track. We are a little bit late going under. Obviously, I've been having a bit of technical issues recently, so that's why I've been trying to go live. If it is very, very likely for anyone, can't really do a thing about it because I've literally tried my damnedest heart to try and get this stream on the road, and we are luckily live, which is really good indeed. Let's have a look then at the driver standings quickly, of course, before we get going. Ricky out on top, as Evans mentioned there, obviously not turning up here tonight. He's on 68 points. Frankie there in second on 55, of course, took the win last time out. Tomasetto, who finished second last week as well, in third on 43. Then Ray, of course, we know the story about Ray now. He obviously got promoted a few races ago. He's in fourth, still on 32. Don't know how he's still fourth, given that we've had so many races since he got promoted. Ron in fifth on 24. Nicole Suss and Will Murdoch are in sixth, tied on 22 points, and Rocker in eighth on 20. Nuth in ninth on 17, and then Nando and Devon round off the top 10, both on 15 points. Blackbox there in 12th on 10, and then we've got now up Axel Luca Kart round off the top 15. Ari, Stefano, Firefox, Johan, Alberto, Vare top 20, and then Krypton, Jax, Erpek, and Lorre, the 24 drivers that have so far scored points this season as well. We will go into the constructor standings as well, while we just wait, of course, for one of the drivers to join back into the lobby. McLaren leading the way on 90 points, of course, only down to one driver actually tonight in terms of Nicole Suss driving as a full-time driver. Ricky, of course, not turning up here tonight once again. Frankie there in second, Alfa Romeo in fifth on 32, AlphaTauri in sixth on 30 points, and then Haas in seventh on 27, Red Bull in eighth on 19, Ferrari in ninth on 13, and then Aston Martin in 10th on 9 points. Apologies if we did lose the stream there slightly, but we're just going through the end of the constructor standings there. McLaren out on top, though, of course, Evan, and of course Ricky out on top. Ricky not tending here tonight. Is this now an open goal for Frankie to try and push for the reign here in Imola?
Well, I think it is definitely an open goal, and it's a race Frankie needs to capitalise on. He needs to claw back some points, and this is really an opportunity for anyone to bring themselves back in to the championship fight. Of course, a 13-point gap is quite a big one here in PSGL because you do only get 16 points for a victory. No point for fastest lap, no point for pole position. So it is 16 straight points. And I've got that wrong. You do get an extra point. You can get a maximum of 17, but still a small margin. And of course, we have a few quick reserves coming into play as well. Will Murdoch, first podium in Monza, part of the Scuderia Ferrari team. Now he finds himself seventh in the drivers' standings. Of course, had an impressive race in Miami. It didn't end well because of a penalty, but still got 8 points on that occasion. He got 10 in Monza, and can he get possibly 12 and up into qualifying?
On track with only the one DRS zone, of course, one down in towards the Tamburello chicane at turns 2 and 3. One George Morgan commentated around here a little bit earlier on in the week, of course, for the Euro Formula Open that was being taking place around there. Of course, a very historic track to the F1 fans as well, and hopefully there's going to be some really good action out on track as well here tonight. And Evan, it is Imola, of course. It is a fascinating track to obviously be and broadcasting from. It is one of those that I think drivers absolutely hate sometimes, but we love in the comment box.
I love commentating around here. I like driving around here. Unfortunately, my talent doesn't like driving around here, but it is an absolute cracker of a circuit. It's one of those historic type circuits. We seen one in Formula One this weekend in Zandvoort. It really is a different track. Of course, you have 19 corners, some famous ones. You have the Ranti Tamburello, Villeneuve, Tosa. Lots of difficult corners that are very, very easy to get wrong. And drivers will get it wrong tonight. That is without question. We will see some mistakes. We'll see some errors. Will we see any big ones? Only time will tell. But the first few are going out for qualifying now. We're in for a brilliant session.
Yeah, we are indeed, and I think one of the Williams potentially is going to be the first man out on track. Nando's just leaving his pit box there as well, and looking through. Now, it was one of the first out. It is one of the Williamses, I think, that is first out. In fact, it's both Williamses that are first out. So it is Tomasetto and now, of course, Tomasetto, of course, homeboy hero potentially here tonight. Of course, the Italian. There's quite a few Italians actually in the field. OP Firefox included in that as well. Tomasetto, though, first man out on track. Second place last week, of course, in Monza, getting myself confused because I was getting myself a little confused as well last week with the Italian double header that we've got now in the calendar. Tomasetto, though, first man out on track. He should be right at home with this track. I think it's a track that will suit him. How do you think he'll get on in terms of his chances tonight?
I think it's a track that'll suit them. And after your home race, you have that little bit of passion, that little bit of pride, and you really do want a good result. Whether that will work for him or whether it won't, of course, it's a real 50-50 of is he going to push too much to try and please the Italian fans, or will he just keep to his same pace? But Tomasetto is a really good driver. I do expect a great result for him this evening. He's been on form as of recent, and he's really pushing himself to try challenge for the championship.
Yeah, definitely so. I got caught off a little bit because I was looking at the chat there. But Tomasetto now coming around the final corner on the run to the line. And we'll now see on board with Tomasetto on the run down in towards the Tamburello chicane, of course, at turns 2 and turn number 3. And we'll see, of course, how he will set up in terms of his lap time. We expect lap time maybe to be in around the 113, 114 mark. I've seen drivers send around here, so potentially we could be seeing that as Tomasetto now on the run up towards the Villeneuve chicane as we now come to the left-hander, and then the right-hander, of course, at turn number 5, and then into towards Tosa corner at turn number 6 is the 24.1 in the first sector from Tomasetto, and looking good while he does that as well. Out of Tosa, on the run towards my favourite section out on track, up in towards Piratella, and this corner, if you get it right, is absolutely so brilliant. George Russell, of course, famously spun underneath the safety car. Tomasetto just sideways there on the curb, but he's okay. Now down in towards Aquamillamore. Again, my favourite section of the track. It's more technical, this middle sector as well. And Tomasetto now coming in towards the middle sector. Split 49.8 in the middle sector. Not going too bad at all. We normally see sub-50s. Oh, indeed, he spins coming out of Variante Alta. On the run now down in towards Ravazza there as well. And Tomasetto looking good on this lap so far in the Williams. Running down now in towards the Ravazza section. Through Ravazza 1 at turn 17. Through Ravazza 2 at turn 18. And then, of course, on the run to the line with this lap, of course, the former San Marino Grand Prix used to be held around here. Tomasetto to the line. 115.2 to start off the night. I think we'll see 114s definitely.
Yeah, definitely we're going to see 114s, former San Marino Grand Prix held here, as you said, but we've also had the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix and the Italian Grand Prix, one of two tracks to host 3 Grand Prix, the other one being the Nürburgring, and that has an endless list. But there's some more guys coming to finish a lap. Alberto Vare flying around the final corner. We've seen Akostos go to the top from McLaren, looking to keep on McLaren's positive start. Alberto Vare goes to 4th. A lot of times going to be pumped in here in really quick succession. Arocca heading to the line, and the interesting thing about Arocca is the only time he scored points this season, it's been on the podium. He's finished 3rd twice. He goes to 2nd onto the front row. Black Box very close to the top as well, goes to 3rd, but instantly beaten by the home team, AlphaTauri here in Aries. And oh, the McLaren's pole streak may continue. Luca Kart is on pole position as it stands.
It is indeed. Luca Kart adds up the Kosos in 2nd and Rocca there in 3rd, Aries there in 4th. Not Joey, by the way, in the comments section, saying don't even bother streaming, no one cares about F2. Well, I say 61 people do care about F2, and I think, honestly, if you don't want to watch it, don't tune in. Simple as that. Luca Kart out on top, Nicolas there in 2nd, and Rocca there in 3rd. Also on lap times, I'd like to Jake Marsh, who's on the run toward the line. I think he's just invalidated, actually, his lap. Urpek there as well. Damien, by the way, giving a W to the commentators, which is really good indeed. Really good to see that. and plenty of support being seen as well from Isle Paul. I think is talking potentially there with a fan of Urpek, who of course is the ATT man down in 18th position at the stage. In fact, it's the man I'm bored with now on the run down in towards the left-handers of Ravazza at turn 17 and 18. But Luca Cordad on top, Nicholson in second, a Rocker there in third. Looking at the stream, by the way, you wouldn't tell I'm on a different bit rate in terms of tonight. It actually looks pretty fresh, which is really good. Luca Cordad to the line, obviously still leading the way. Nicholson in second, a Rocker there in third. Urpek, though, just starting up on his lap in the AlphaTauri.
Airpex just started off his lap here, and AlphaTauri, the closest team, of course, with their factory in Firenze, really close to here, as it's still a Ferrari home circuit, really. Any Italian circuit is still, even when we go to Mugello, it'll still be mainly Ferrari fans in the stands. But Airpex not on a bad run here. It's a 24-2 in the first sector as he heads into the left-hander at Tosa. Short shifts up to fourth gear, which is really what you want to do. High gears are quite common around Imola, which is something you don't expect. You expect high gears in the fast sweeping sort of corners, like Silverstone, Jeddah, for example. But Imola's one where you need it for the traction. Into Acqua Minerale, flying in with a right-hander. It's a corner you don't expect to be flat, but it absolutely is in race conditions as well. In towards the Varanti Alta, it's a 49.9 in the middle sector. He's hopped over those curves absolutely beautifully. Of course, we've seen AlphaTauris make mistakes through there, Yuki Tsunoda being an example, but Airpex not on a bad run. Few fans in the chat, of course, for the AlphaTauri man. He's replacing Dino. No, he's not replacing Dino. He's replacing Ron, apologies, for this evening as he's heading down towards the line. Here comes Airpeck. Where can he put the AlphaTauri? He puts it on the front row of the grid. Not a bad job at all for Airpeck. Great stuff from AlphaTauri so far at their home Grand Prix.
Yeah, very good indeed from Urpek there in second, of course, the Spaniard, if I'm believing in my nationalities correctly. I think he is Spanish. He's there in 14.9. Luca Cordad on top, though. It is currently Italian 1, Spanish 2, and then Nicholson, who I think is Dutch. He's there in third with the FMD team, of course, a 15 flat.
Is Italian as well.
Nicholson's Italian as well. I really shouldn't doubt myself, to be honest, in terms of nationalities. This is what happens when you've been off a week and obviously trying to come back in terms of the streams. Firefox, though, on the road toward the middle sector. 50.2, it's not too bad. It's not the quickest that we've seen, though, so far from the Aston Martin, as he now makes his one down in towards the Ravatas as well. Krypton as well on a lap there in the Red Bull. Famous man, of course, Mr. Louis Dupont, who is part of the stewarding team. If anybody didn't know that, of course, here in PSGL. Luca Cordad on top.
They all know.
They all know. They all know. Firefox
to the line. He had a good first sector. Has he dropped off? Yeah, he's dropped off a little bit. It's a 15-2 for Firefox, but not a bad job at all as we go back to Krypton. As he crosses the line, goes to 13th. He'll want a bit better than that, but Krypton's form this season has been in the race. It's not been qualifying at all for Red Bulls. And surprised to see new to down there. He's been setting some fast times in practice, and of course he has been doing a lot better recently than the start of the season. Had a horrible start in Miami, Spa, those sort of races. Doing much better. He's on a lap now, as is a lot of guys. So we're going to see who can set the quickest second lap, and can it be that Luca Kart time of 1:14.878?
Potentially so. I'm over with Will Murdoch, not Mill Murdoch, as I was going to say there. Will Murdoch's on a lap in towards the Varianta Alta section. He's not looking that quick. 50 flat in the middle sectors, 4.5 tenths up. Rides the curve nicely, or a little bit sketchy though on the exit, and he might just invalidate, slides his way in the Ferrari. Not often we see a sliding Ferrari in Formula 1. Cough, cough. Luca Cordad on top, Urpek in second, Nicholson there in third, Orocca there in fourth. Everyone laps towards the top end of the field, but Will Murdoch there coming through the left-hander of turn number 18, and then through the little kink of turn 19, of course, the final corner on the run to the line. 15.4, yeah, 15.4 from Will Murdoch. 2.5 tenths drop off in that final sector. But one above the top end of the field, Tomasetto's just started up on his lap. Nicholson, though, is up on his lap. He's 400s up in that middle sector, so the McLaren's obviously going to be looking quick. Luca Cord's also on a lap as well. He's on the run up toward Variante Alta, but Nicholson then coming through the left-hander of turn 18, and then again through the little kink of turn 19, might go towards the top end of the field here. Now, by the way, don't know how he went second. Totally missed that. Alberto Vares went third, and Nando comes into the top. 14.7 from Nando. Luca Cart there in second, responding though, 500 up in the middle sector, through the final corner, on the run to the line. I think he's going to fall shy to the line. He does, 14.765, but only 200ths of a second covering the top two.
You know, this is a lot closer than we first thought. Nikosas is pushing on a second lap. Oh no, he's not. He's backed off now, but he was really pushing through the Varanti Tamburello. Devon on another lap here. He's going to go towards the line, seeking to improve. The Red Bull goes to ninth. Good job for Devon. Of course, he defaulted second time penalty removed after the race in Monza, which bumped him up a few positions. The only penalty in the field was for Black Box. He got a 10-second time penalty plus 3 license points. So the license point system, of course, a key part of the PSGL stewarding team. You can find more on the Discord. Axel coming towards the line for no, never mind, into the pits it goes of the Haas. But Nando, really great lap there for Alpine. He wants to spoil a McLaren party once again. He's did it a few times this season so far. He wants to do it again.
Yeah, Jake Marsh on the run to the line as well, goes 15.3, so good lap there from him as well. I believe Frankie has just started up on a lap as well. He's coming through the end of the middle sector. In fact, actually, he's backed off his lap, so Frankie not on a lap here at this stage. Nano out on top, Luca Cart in second, now up there in third, Alberto Vara in fourth, Urpek fifth, Thomas Settle sixth, Frankie in seventh, Nicole in eighth. Devon, by the way, 1,000th of a second off, and 6th to 9th covered by 1,700ths of a second as well, which is very close indeed. Normally get quite close qualifying around here. If I'm not mistaken, because I commentated on PSGL.
Black Box quickly to the line. This was a good lap from Black Box. It's a fantastic lap from Black Box. He goes to third and improves by quite a margin on that one. He was down the order, but it's a good lap from Black Box. There's pace in this Alfa Romeo. Black Box took his one and only PSGL win here last season in Imola in the F5 tier. He had a great race-long battle with Jerry Bassell on that occasion. I may or may not have been commentating on it, hence why I know, but he was very quick on that day, looking very good on this day. We'll see what he can do, as Airpec is starting a lap now as well for AlphaTauri.
He is. Just to finish off the points as well that I was saying, I believe last season, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, Shazee Tom is now in, of course, F1 and took his first race win last week in PSGL F1, of course, as well. I believe he set a 1:14.2, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, the cars have evolved since then. They've got around a second slower in terms of average time on this game. Urpek, though, looking quick in the first sector. I think he was up by about 700ths of a second in the first sector. Now coming through the left-hander again of Piratella on the run down and towards Aqua Minerale, and Nando out on top, Luca Card in second, Black Box there in third, but Urpek looking quite good. A little bit sketchy though, coming out of Aqua Minerale on the run towards the middle sector, split 300s up in the middle sector. He hasn't found time, but he hasn't gained any either, and this is going to be quite concerning as the cloud actually begins to build over the circuit. Potentially towards the end of the session we might get a little bit of rain, but Nando out on top, Luca Card in second, Black Box in third, still on board with Urpek though. We'll go on board with him coming out over the rough axle section through turn 17, through turn 18, on the run towards turn 19. He won't be on the run towards turn 19 as he's just invalidated.
Oh, that's disappointing. He loves chucking it over that chicane, the Varanti Alta. Airpec is quick through there, but it's almost at that level where he's pushing too much. He's going to have to calm it down for the race, or else that car is, that is going round, just like we've seen Charles Leclerc do in this year's race. Firefox has just improved to 12th, but it's been pretty mediocre qualifying for the Aston Martin. So far, the top 15 are separated by almost 7/10 of a second, which is not bad for a difficult track like Imola. The top guys coming out on their outlaps now. But if we just quickly take a look down towards the bottom of the order, Jake Marsh beating Will Murdoch. That's going to be a little bit of a confidence boost, as that's one of the adversaries.
Yep, it is Aries. I was on board with him coming through Aqua Minerale. He spins out of Aqua Minerale on the outside curb, gets caught on the outside curb, applying too much throttle, gone spearing off into the wall, basically like Latifi and Mazepin, remember, in 2020, and that's what happened there, obviously, between them both. Aries there in 13th. Yeah, horrible crash for him. He was improving as well before he actually made that mistake coming through Aqua Minerale, and he was looking to try and go into the 14.9, so potentially Aries qualifying session lost completely there, as I think you were saying Jake Marsh was on an outlap.
No, I was saying he was beating Will Murdoch, but I was having a look at Will Murdoch there while we were just going through the Harry's crash, and he was up by about 0.3 of a second. He's headed into the Varanti Alta, flew across the chicane really quick, but put all 4 tyres outside that white line. Will Murdoch was on a flyer. He'll still get a lap in towards the end of the session, but our top 2 are on very early runs here. Nando is heading through Aqua Minerale on his final qualifying lap, and there we go. It's last week's race winner, Frankie, out, hitting the wall at the Tamburello.
Yeah, Luca Cart as well is invalidated in the middle sector, so Nando coming toward the end of his lap, and he goes wide, coming through into Alta, and that is him done. I think he's got time, though. We've still got 3 minutes 50 seconds left. I don't know if he was on his final qualifying run or not, but Nando certainly is backed off. I think he'll be coming back in the pit lane here. Alberto Vare is on a lap. He's coming to the end of the first sector, 14.8. Yeah, Nicholson goes fourth as well.
Kostas goes fourth. Alberto Vare is pushing through. Those guys are out really early. There goes Araka. He goes within a tenth of pole. Goes to fourth on the second row. It's a right jumbled up top of the order here. A lot of teams, a lot of drivers in play. Tomasetto is on another push lap as well, heading into the Ferranti
Oh,
Alta. He's 2/10 of a second up. This could be a big run for Tomasetto if he can just nail the 17 of Ravazza, 18, and then the run to the line. It would be a big lap as Nando and Luca card both into the pits almost in unison. They are both trying to get out for one final run, but keep an eye on the Williams of Tomasetto. This is going to be a big one.
this I think is going to be 14.6 potentially. Tomasetto on the run to the line. Does he go quickest? Yes, he does. The 14.7. James got very close there, but Tomasetto out on top at 14.7. Nando in second, Luca Cart in third, Alberto Vara in fourth. Rocker's not on the lap, Nicol's not on the lap. Black Box though is, and he's 800ths up in the first sector, so he is up in the first sector in terms of his comparative to his previous lap. He now comes out of Aqua Minerale into the Variante Alta. He's lost time in the middle sector as Axe's retired into the pit lane as well. Maybe they sense that the rain is obviously coming towards the end of the session. That's where we've got Devon retiring as well in the pit lane. Black Box in the run down in towards Ravazza, and Nicole's retiring as well. Don't think then there's going to be many improvements going to be happening in this session. Black Box though coming through the final couple of corners, through 18, through in towards the kink of turn 19. Might be improving in terms of his lap, goes to the line. Doesn't improve. Black Box there, 500th down on his previous lap. Urpek that was up on his lap, and he's in towards Ravazza, a 10th up.
Mr. Last Lap Louis Dupont is setting a really good time, but he's made a mistake out of the Aqua Minerale, and I think this one's going to end slightly earlier than expected. Here comes Airpeck to the line, goes 7th. Not a bad job, but Black Box is slightly down. Still absolutely pushing. No, lap over. He's invalidated it. Jake Marsh is marginally down. Newt is 3/10 of a second up. He's going to improve here. It's only 14th. Not good enough. Krypton is on a bit of a run. It's not going to be challenging for Paul, but if he could push himself in the top 10 here, he'd be really, really happy with that, out qualifying his teammate. To the line comes the Red Bull. Oh no, it's only 16th in the end. It's really not a good performance. Will Murdoch is heading through sector 1. He seems to be the only one really giving it a chance here, as everyone else is kind of done, as Tomasetto is possibly going to take pole here in Imola.
I think he will. Of course, at his home track, Tomasetto, 14.722, by the way, on multiple laps as well, and that's at a soft compound tyre. He's ran out of fuel, so he's done in terms of that. Nando, Luca Cart, Alberto Vara, they're all out and out laps, and Nando is coming through the final corners of Ravazza, but he spins! He spins out of Ravazza, and Nando overshoots the rear tyres coming through Ravazza too.
I think
Spins the car.
Rain, James. I think we're having a bit of a visual glitch here. Look at the tyres on all the cars. They are absolutely soaked. It started to rain here as now we're still flat out through Aqua Minerale. I respect the bravery massively, but I think the weather has really hit here. Narwarp is still marginally improving. He wants to get every last spot he can, but the track is definitely not peak conditions. And Nando with a big error there through the Ravazza. He's still pushing, but it's not going to be close enough for Paul. I don't think. It'd have to be a monster of a lap if he was going to take it.
Yep, it's raining. I can tell on the Williams Halo. It's literally me looking at my camera, quite literally. That is how close I am to the screen. Now though to the line, Michael Quicker see it to the line, 14.8. He goes 4th in the end and 2,000 quicker than Alberto Vara. Considering it is raining out on track, Nando's done in terms of his lap. Luca Cart has just started one. Alberto Vara out the first sector. This is the real indication on, and he's a 10th down. I think that time is probably going to go backwards as the session goes on, but at the back end, because we're pretty much done now.
Yeah, I think this will be it. There's Firefox is improving marginally, but it is 0.004. It's not going to be much, and yeah, he's down in the middle sector. That is qualifying done, ladies and gentlemen. Tomasetto, we said he could be on for a good result. He certainly started it well. Williams on pole position in Imola.
It is indeed. Tomasetto out on top. Nando there in second. Luca Cart there in third. Alberto Vara, by the way, was 7/10 down at the middle sector. DRS disabled. Clearly, we need our eyes testing, I think, in terms of the rain. I'm having to commentate, obviously, through OBS, and it's quite a small screen. And I couldn't even see the rain there, to be honest. So well done to anyone in the chat that might have actually seen that before us. Alberto Vara to the line, yeah, he's not improving. Now we're not improving. Luca Cart's not on the lap either. Tomasetto out on top, then Nando in second. Luca Cart there in third. Toward the bottom end of the field, though, big shocks, I think, further down the field. Frankie, who should be toward the top end of the field, potentially in terms of his pace, down in 10th position and out-qualified by his teammate.
Yep, there's a couple of shocks there. Jake Marsh out-qualifying Will Murdoch. Both terrible, really, for Ferraris. 17th and 18th is not where you want to be. Ferrari have a lot of pressure when they come to home soil, and they're going to have even more pressure here this evening. But it's Thomas Esso, Nando, Luca car the front three, and McLaren continue good form in qualifying. Nicosa seventh. It's not the end of the world because it will be a tricky race. Whether it'll say dry for all the race, that's another point because we're just waiting on cars to go into the garage here and take a look at Mercedes. They were flying at the start of the season. Of course, we know they don't have both their main drivers here, as one of them will be back next week from a ban, but 19th and 20th, a last row lockout for the Silver Arrows is not what they want heading into this Imola Grand Prix, but we're in for a right old cracker.
We are indeed, and the top 9 covered by less than 0.2 of a second just says how quite close that qualifying actually was. Thomas Edel then out on top from Nando in second, Luca caught there in third, it's an Italian 1-3 in the end. Now up there in fourth, Alberto Vara 0.002 of a second behind, now up there in fifth. Arocca there in sixth, Nicholsos in seventh, Urpec only 100th off there in eighth. Black Box in 9th, and that's where the less than 0.2 per second comes in. Frankie there in 10th, Devon in 11th, Axe in 12th, Firefox 13th, Nuke there in 14th, 4,000 of a second covering them. Avi's there in 15th, supporting the Ukrainian flag, which is really good to see. Krypton there in 16th, Jake Marsh, Will Murdoch, Johan, and Lorraine, rounding off the 20 drivers that we have, of course, from that qualifying session. We are going to be back though in around 30 seconds. We better prepare ourselves now before the non-formation up begins. Beautiful blue skies and sunshine. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to PSGL. We are here in the bright blue skies of Imola with 30 seconds counting down until, of course, the start of this race. And Evan, very close qualifying session. Are we going to see more of the same in the race?
Yeah, it's going to be ultra close. If we get a DRS train as well, it'll be even closer. But I think strategy's going to play a big part of this one. We haven't seen many safety cars this season. We could see one tonight. It's normally a popular appearance around Imola, but it's going to be a close one for sure. Here we go. We're getting ready to go.
Here we go indeed, unless the formation app has been cheaply turned on. 5 red lights now coming out here, though, in Imola for round number 7 of the championship, and it is... Light and away we go, and Tomasetto gets a very slow start. Luca Cott, I think, gets the better start out the front 3, and actually Nando's already passed Tomasetto, even before we get towards Tamburello. Nando leads the way. Tomasetto in second, trying to dive it down the inside line now, and he's going to send it down the inside line. In Tamburello's absolutely causes chaos in behind. Has to have to brake very hard there indeed. It's Luca Cott then that leads the way. Now up there in second, huge crash in the back lane. O'Rocker's out, Frankie out, Jake Marsh, Will Murdoch.
Oh, unbelievable. That was hectic at the back. It was just cars spinning everywhere. Jake Marsh, Frankie, Will Murdoch, Arocca, all out of the race. Firefox and Alberto Vare, major damage on the 2 Aston Martins. Hectic stuff. It was a big send into one by Tomasetto trying to get back past Nando, and it just caused a ricochet effect on almost everyone. 4 cars out on lap 1. That's not a familiar scene here in PSGL, but really hectic lap 1. The full safety car is definitely out.
Yeah, full safety car definitely out indeed. Arocca's car, by the way, stricken in the middle of the track still. No surprise that the safety car is out, though, after that collision. It's Luca Cott out on top, then now up in second, Nando in third, Black Box in fourth. I'm sure there's going to be a few short words potentially being said there in the Discord server between the 4 drivers that are out. Frankie and Arocca, I think, were one instant. They got caught in each other through the exit of Tamburello. And Jake Marsh and Will Murdoch, I think, got caught up in the backwash as well. The Aston Martins did very well to get through that. Alberto Vare and Firefox, and I think Aries did very well as well, because he was right in the middle of that, did very well to try and salve his way through the field. I think the ghosting system came in to play before that. We'll have a look at position gains at the start of this race. No surprise to see, though, majority of the field further down, at least Lorre, 7 positions gained, Krypton has gained 6, Johan has gained 5, and Black Box 9th on the grid, up to 4th position early on, and he'll be absolutely wanting a really good result after his bad luck so far this season. Luca got out on top now, up in second, Nando in third. The safety car is out on that too.
Yeah, that was a hectic start, a really, really hectic one, and I don't think a lot of people expected that. I thought there'd be a bit of chaos, as Jay's exact words were, Was there oil on the track or something? Seemingly, what's happened is literally everybody just spun because of how slippy it was. I know from practice that that corner is dangerous on cold tyres. We're going to see some spinners out of the pits for sure. It is horrible. But at turn number one, it was almost like it was just a dangerous scent from Tomasetto. There didn't seem much damage. Nando was pushed off on the entrance into one, and Luca Card, the doors opened. Mr. Moses, he probably felt like, just swept through. It's a big possibility in Imola. It's happened to a lot of drivers before, especially in PSGL. But Luca Card, he's in first. He's no idea how he's got here, but he's leading the race, and that's the most important thing. There was no real pitters apart from Alberto Vare, who pit to get his damage changed. I think Firefox could have avoided damage, but he definitely was spun round at the back. He's avoided all damage, but Alberto Vare, now the only man on the medium compound of tyres. It's good to be different, folks.
It is very good to be different indeed. Luca Cord out on top though, now up in second. Nando in third. The safety car, of course, still out on track. Alberto Varese just joining on to the back of the safety car queue, which means we've got another lap underneath the safety car at least. Interesting, by the way, that Alberto Varese also gone for a set of medium compounded tyres from a set of, I think it was hard compounded tyres that he was starting on. Didn't really get a chance to see what tyres everyone was on, but now we do. Everyone's on a set of hard compounded tyres. Apart from Alberto Varese, I believe he was on a set of hards, and now he's obviously on a set of medium compounded tyre. Looking further down the field, on the Kosos had a really good stop, very strong stop from him. He's down there in 5th position, gaining a couple of positions obviously off the start as well. And I think the main gainer out of all of this, Johan, down in 14th position, avoided all of that contact in the Mercedes, got Lore in front of him, his teammate. He's there in 14th position, avoided all contact, and he's gained, I think, 4 positions off the start as well.
Yeah, Laurie up 7, Johan up 5, but really everyone's gained off the start, unless your name is Tomasetto, who's down to 6th, but really, we haven't got to see anybody's race pace. We've seen how badly they can manage to make turn 1 on lap number 1, but we haven't got to see anyone's race pace, so there's still a lot to tell here in this Imola Grand Prix. And we should be racing this lap, hopefully, and the safety car hopefully should be in, but of course, it's a big race for the championship, this one, with no Ricky, and Ricky's probably looking at Frankie DNF'd, and he is having a absolute massive party, because that just gives him comfort. He's going to have a championship lead, presumably going into the next race, and presuming he's going to be here, he will be loving it. He'll have his motivation full, and he will be ready to go. Of course, if you watched F2 last season, I was informed on Twitter today that Tom Robbo won the title here last season, and I was also informed that Taisho Hardy won the F3 title here last season. But we're going to get ready to go racing, and can we get past turn 1 this time? Only time will tell.
And what people didn't say on Twitter as well was actually I was commentating on this race around Imola in PSF2 last season as well, replacing Jesse, who had to do F1. Luca Cart, though, blazing a trail out of Ravazza on the run down in towards Tamburello. Nando, those on the back, and now potentially on the run down in towards Tamburello. And look at the speed of Tomasetto, not hanging around at all. The Williams try to go on the outside line in towards the Tamburello chicane on the McLaren, actually, in the Kosos. Actually doesn't decide to go for the move. In the end, though, I think Aries has come under attack from Johan in the background as well. Everyone's clean through Tamburello okay, though, and so Luca Cart that leads the way. Now up in second, Nando in third, and that's exactly what we wanted in terms of the restart. A very clean restart. Everyone's now up to temperature in terms of the tyres, and now Devon right on the back of Tomasetto. Both AlphaTauris as well. Sorry, the Haas and the AlphaTauri of Axei and Opek going side by side there potentially. And look at the run of Devon now on the helicopter cameras. We ride on board with him up the hill in towards Piratella, right on the back of Tomasetto, but not going to get the job done. I think actually we saw a position move from Firefox up above Lore, who's dropped down 2 positions.
Yeah, Aries was caught out on the restart a little bit there, and that kind of backed everybody up. There's been a couple of positional changes at the back. The Aston Martin's now split the 2 Mercedes. Alberto Vare actually up the inside here into the Varanti Alta. Beautiful send from Alberto Vare. He's the better tyres of everybody in the field. He will move up, but he will have to pit again, because there is no way those tyres will make the end of the race. But 8/10 is the gap between Luca Cart and Narwarp, and that is just what Luca Cart wanted to do. Pull the gap, get him out of DRS before the DRS arrives, and he's already got him out of DRS there. Maybe the McLaren was just saving that little bit in qualifying for the Grand Prix.
I think, honestly, he's got so much pace over Now Up and Nando. Now Up and Nando don't know what to do with themselves, basically. They're in second and third. and they're on the back of each other, but obviously they can't keep up with Luca Card, who just looked in a world of his own so far in this race here in Imola. Of course, one lap 5, so it is very still early on in this race. Devon on the back there of Tomasetto, still trying to hound the back of the Williams. Of course, the Williams losing the lead off the race, and obviously down the inside of Tamburello, forcing that contact. In the background, though, Nuth trying to go side by side with Krypton, and actually Krypton makes a mistake, and now Nuth will try and go to the inside line. Up the running toward Piratello. I don't think he's actually going to try for the move, and yeah, he doesn't. I probably would have, and I probably wouldn't have been ending up at the race as well if I tried that. But Nuth there in 11th position, Krypton there in 10th. At least, though, they weren't like Mr. Evan Dalton on a Sunday night last night, because you were out, I think, by the midpoint of the race.
You don't have to tell people that, James. You really don't. But yes, I had a shocker. We're not going to talk about it. But you're not the only man who has sent a dumb move into Piratella before. Yuji Ida did it back in 2006, and that was the last time he ever drove a Formula 1 car. He had his super license removed. So you're not the only one, James, and I certainly have made a few dumb moves in Imola in my time. But DRS is now enabled. We'll see a few guys going for moves, specifically Newt on Krypton, who is burning his battery, trying to get past the Red Bull, but the Red Bull has dispatched it all, and there is a move here in the back. It's Alberto Varre making more moves. He's past the other Mercedes, Johan now, and he's up to 13th spot. The medium's working well on the Aston Martin, but still a lot of time till a pit stop for these guys on the hard compound tyres. The gap is sort of stabilised between Narwarp and Luca Kart, but still a lot of work to do for the Williams if he wants to win this race.
Yeah, it was less than 9 tenths of a second, actually, the gap between Luca Kart and now up. So he's just trying to extend now up the hill in towards Piratella once again, which you could call the back straight, basically, on this track as well, up the hill. But now up there in second position, makes a mistake slightly. Nando's there 7 tenths away in third. They're all in a big old DRS train at the stage as well. Bertavari obviously on the back of Aries. That could be the next move, potentially going to be forcing itself on the track. As actually coming out of Aku Menavati, could get him here into the Variante Alta. Use the DRS now, or use the ERS to try and go down the inside line. But I think nobody wants to go for the inside there, because you will get your super license removed. As Nuth sideways just in front of camera shot as well. Ari's now going to try and chomp on that, and now the AlphaTauri and the Alpine are potentially going side by side down the hill. They're not going to go side by side though, and it's Nuth still in 11th, Ari's in 12th. Alberto Vara there still in 13th. Alberto right on the back of Ari's. Ari's now makes Nuth look like a sitting duck potentially on towards turn number 1 at Tamburello. Luke Cart leads the way. Now up in second, Nando in third, but here comes Aries on the back of Nuth. And in fact, actually, no moves are going to happen, because look at the speed that Nuth has got down the straight, pulling away, in fact, from Aries, and that was impressive.
That straight line speed is very good on that Alpine. He made the mistake and bombed away from him on the run down to the Ravazza, but you know, there's always an F1 cheating scandal around Imola. We'll see what happens, but no. Newt there, he used a lot of his battery there to pull away, and it was a clever move, because he's on the back of Krypton now. It's the move he's been looking for all evening, and hopefully he's going to get it. But the other Red Bull, Devon, up in front, is doing the pressure. That's not correct English, but he's applying the pressure, we could say, to Tomasetto. Tomasetto, since grabbing pole, has had a shocker. There's no confidence in that man in the Williams, as Nikosos is just managing the gap. Nikosos is in a happy space here. He's got the DRS, the black box. He's doing well, but will want a little bit more towards the end of the race. But that's for the end of the race. As of now, it's been a comfortable drive for Luca Kart up the front. But there we go, DRS almost in reach for Narwarp. Narwarp seems to be much better in that third sector, but Luca Kart bombs away in the straight. Narwarp struggling with the battery.
Yeah, now though does have DRS on this lap though, so potentially he is going to close back within a second there of Luca Kart, who currently leads the way. Nothing is going to really happen, I think, down in towards turn number 1 either. Nobody's got pace over anybody else, so it's a big old DRS train pretty much from the lead all the way down into 16th position right now. Luca Kart leading the way now up in second, Nando in third. Black Box was on the back of Nando around this part of the track last time around, and he was looking quite quick through this first sector. He's now dropped off to around 8 tenths per second behind Nando. Nicolas there at similar gap, 8.5 tenths per second, and then Tomasetto, who seems to now be gaining confidence once again. Of course, he had that absolute wretched start down the inside line of Tamburello. He's there in 6th position. He's 5 tenths off. He is the closest at this stage, potentially, to go for a move. And I think, honestly, he might just have the pace to try and go for that move very soon indeed.
Yeah, it's really been a stalemate since the safety car restart. Of course, we had that utterly chaos first lap. But we'll have to wait and see as that gap up the front is extending. And Black Box and Nando seem to be the ones trying to make moves. Of course, we know Nando, he is not one to back out of an overtake. He's not scared of making moves at all. He's down one spot since qualifying and he's pressuring Narwarp. And if Narwarp, the longer he doesn't have DRS, the longer it's going to be this race for him, because he's going to be under a lot of pressure from the Alpine behind.
Yeah, definitely. So the Alpine obviously on the back of now up there, third position currently for Nando. Now up there in second. Nuka got the lead the way.
Piling on the pressure.
Yeah, Nando was really applying the
bit
pressure.
Of a mistake as Krypton's gone round at the back.
He has coming through Tamburello, so the Red Bull van coming through Tamburello. Unfortunate for him. I don't think he's got any front wing damage. Let's have a look on board with the car. And yeah, he's kept it out the wall. I think he's just gone for full 360 potentially out of Tamburello, and that's why he's now down at the back of the field with very sandy tyres now in terms of the gravel. Luca Gott leads the way now up in second, Nando in third. You were saying, Evan, that he is applying the pressure, obviously, Nando. Somebody else that is, though, is Johan on the back of Alberto Varre. That potentially now means medium compound tyres, not the tyre to be on at this stage in the race, as Johan tries to apply the pressure on the back of Alberto Varre. But through the middle sector, Alberto seems quite quick. I think this time around, though, Nando on the back of now. I'm just going to give you a fiver right now. Who are you putting on?
Nando. I think he can take this one. Much better battery, will have DRS and seems to be the quicker driver out of the final corner. Turn 18, heading down towards the first corner. It's going to be Nando who's going to pressure the move on. Williams says, oh, look at this. Sails past easy as you like. Nando up into second place here. This changes the course of the race. Can Nando? To Luca Kart. Only time will tell, but it seems like Luca Kart still has pace on the pair. But, well, Narwarp wasn't the quickest Williams. He is the leading Williams, but he's not been the quickest Williams. Tomasetto has been putting in better lap times. He's kind of just stuck behind the Kosas, and we can see here Narwarp is still trying to find a way past Nando, as there's a bit of a snap for the Kosas back there in the McLaren. He's coming under some pressure.
Yeah, Tomasetto and Devon applying the pressure there. There's been a big gap forming as well, potentially. Axe is losing the second now to Urpek. Urpek's now losing the time to Devon, so that is where the cork in the bottle potentially could come. Now, though, on the back of Nando, still within 4.5 tenths of a second on the run up towards Variante Alta. On lap 10 out of 32, Luca Cort leads the way, Nando in second. Now up there in third, of course, sponsored by our title sponsors, GT Omega, this race in F2, and indeed all races in PSGL are sponsored by GT Omega, and you might have seen my chair in the background a little bit earlier on as well. Not sure why I moved to the left-hand side, people thinking people can see me still, but still. Luca Cort leads the way, Nando in second, now up in third, and now up has got 19% of battery to try and use up, and I think, honestly, he's got absolutely no chance of coming down the straight and getting this move done, unless he's going to try and preserve this battery. Alberto Varre new fastest up the race, though. And yeah, Nando still stays in second position, now up in third. And still, Nikolsos now, I think, is becoming, as you said a lap ago, Tomasetto and Devon really applying a bit of pressure.
Yeah, the new cork in the bottle is Nikolsos here, as he is running the risk of dropping out of the DRS, as these second, third, fourth place drivers are starting to go into a world of their own here. But the man in the world of his own is Luca Card. He's flying up the top four. McLaren just dropped further back, and Devon running a great race, not able to make a move on Tomasetto just yet, but comparing it to the rest of the season, Devon is having a world of a time here in Imola. He is he's driving great, I have to hand it to him. Really good stuff for the Red Bull.
Yeah, he's really driving great, and he's applying obviously a lot of pressure there to Tomasetto. They're in 6th position, Devon there in 7th, Urpek there in 8th. So far, so good at turn 5, right next to me, which is not great. Luca Cort leads the way, Nando in second. Now up in third, we are back. I was trying to check the comment section. Might have to go on to my mobile hotspot, potentially, to try on that one. But Luca Cort leads the way, Nando in second. Now up in third, lap 12 out of 32. Doing a good job, these guys out on track, but all stuck in a DRS train, apart from Firefox on the back of Johan. Powers around the outside in towards Tamburello, and the Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin, I should say, gets the job done on the Mercedes. Thought it was an AlphaTauri for one stage, looking by the camera angle, but he's through. Firefox is through, and he's into 13th position, and upgrades from his Windows XP performance last week.
That's very brutal. It's very the Windows XP performance. That's a new one. But Narwarp he's gonna fall in this one. He has no battery whatsoever. Black Box has a load behind. Black Box doesn't seem to have the greatest pace in this race, but he's found himself a middle ground, and he's running mediocre race, you could say, pace-wise, but it's a great race from results-wise. He's in fourth, and he's just keeping in the DRS of the slower driver in front, possibly, and he's keeping away from the driver behind, so you can't really ask much more. That's probably the equivalent to a Will Buxton quote, but sure luck, we'll keep it going, and Devon's still not able to find a move on Tomasetto. The only people making moves are the two Aston Martins.
Yeah, they are indeed on board with Black Box. So obviously, he's got a lot of battery, 51% still to use up on his car. And of course, still pit stops to be had. And speaking of pit stops, Alberto Vara and Johan, interestingly, into the pit lane. 21 laps on a set of medium compound tyre. There's no way he's getting to the end of the race, is there? Surely.
No chance for Johan. Alberto Vara's gone back onto the hard tyres, so he could do it maybe. It'll still be a stretch. It's an early stop, really, for the hards, as the tyres, the mediums won't be doing nice. They really won't. They can only do about 12 or 13 laps. The hards are a much better race tyre, but they still wear a lot there. There's a lot of tyre wear around Imola, but you can definitely do a hard medium or a medium hard vice versa. Johan is going to struggle, but he has to do something different. He's at the back and he has to try something different, and I can only respect that. Mistake from Nando, runs off the track, and now up could be putting him under a mountain of pressure here.
Yeah, he could be, but he's only got 6% of ERS down in towards Ravazza 1 and then through Ravazza 2 at the left hand of turn 18. Nando seems to have got away with that, though, and I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if some of these guys decide to come into the pit lane a little bit early to try and obviously undercut. Johan, as you say, 12 or 13 laps on a set of mediums that can only last around here. Alberto Vara has got a chance. If he's good on his tyres, he has got a chance. Firefox is into the pit lane as well. In the Aston Martin, and this is going to be a big, now, shake-up for Firefox. Obviously, he's down towards the back end of the field. I think he will be, actually, towards the back of the field with this. On go, a set of medium compound tyres. He's got no other choice, remember, because they only get one set of hard and medium compound tyre.
Unless they're hoping for a late safety car, planning for softs at the end. But as it stands now, it looks like nobody's going to make a mistake, of course. We had very early DNFs in the form of Rocket, Will Murdoch, Frankie, and Jacob Marsh. And you can see Alberto Vara is now the lead Aston Martin on the hard compound of tyres. He's hunting down Krypton in front. Krypton still has to make a pit stop, as he had a spin earlier on in the race, but the gaps in the midfield are just neutralising there at this point. We are in what is the definition of a DRS train, as Johan is putting Firefox under some pressure here, because Firefox does have cold tyres, and Johan could possibly try him into Paratella. No, he's a bit too far back.
Yeah, he's a bit too far back indeed. Johan on the back of Firefox, 15th and 16th position. Currently the wooden spoon being fought out for here. They may catch Alberto Vara, though, in terms of the compound tyre. Hard compound tyre, obviously, on the other Aston Martin. Johan, though, pretty much super glued to the back of Firefox through Aqua Minerale. Now into Variante Alta at the top of the hill. Pretty much the highest point on the track here as well at Imola. It is very, very hard to obviously try and decipher the gradation change around here. But it is true, and it does happen. Nuth on the back of Axe as well. 9th and 10th position, looking quite quick now. Nuth, he's getting into his groove. The Alpine on the back of the Haas, but I think we are going to see potentially that move from Johan. On the back of Firefox. Firefox currently hanging on to what remains of that P15 for now. Johan, I don't think is going to be close enough, and in fact, he's got no straight line speed at all, Johan. Closing in all the time, but 205 mile an hour does not really cut it. It's normally about 210, 211 if you want to try and get the move done down and towards turn 1, and Johan for now stays in 16th as Luca Cott still got quite stagnant out in front.
He is, and the man who's starting to pull a bit of a gap is Airpeck, as there's a yellow flag. It's actually Johan who's gone round out the back. The current wooden spoon holder is going to hold it for another while, but Airpeck is pulling a massive gap on Axe. Axe is under some pressure here, and Youth could try for a move on his fellow FV Orman.
I think he will on the Alpine on the back of the Haas, unless he decides to come in the pits. That's exactly what he's done. I preempted that, to be honest. There, Black Box as well into the pit lane. Now, 16 laps on a set of mediums, I think are doable.
I think they could be. It'll be exactly half the race on them. So it's a 50-50 split strategy. We did have some laps under safety car, of course, on the hard tyre stint. So we will see some of the guys, a lot of the guys actually extend a little bit longer. But it's Luca Cart's gap has come down by 0.2 of a second on this lap. Nando's pushing. Could be an in-lap here for Nando. He could be pushing to try and gain on an undercut.
Running much lower on fuel as well, actually, Nando, compared to Lukaku. And I think that's why Lukaku has got 56% of ERS to try and use up. He's obviously not going to come in the pit lane unless he dukes everyone in behind him to come in and follow, obviously, with the undercut potentially of Black Box later on in this race. But Black Box, I think, was around about 3.5, 4 seconds off the back of the leaders here. So Lukaku out on top, Nando in second, now up in third. They keep continuing on. I think the overcut will become more potent. Slightly wide there, Lukaku out of Ravazza 1 through Ravazza 2. Is he coming in the pit lane? Yes, he does. The leader is in. And Nando, interestingly, stays out. So for all of that work, all of that ERS usage, he's still out on track as Nicole Sod sets the fastest lap of the race. So it's clearly hard compound tyres for now as Nuth goes into the 17s.
Yeah, Nando was going to do something different. It was a real case of, we often hear Peter Bonington, Lewis Hamilton's engineer, come on the engineer saying box opposite Verstappen, say, and what that literally is do the opposite to what he does. So in this example, it was going to be Nando's pushing to try force Lukaku into an undercut. Maybe he's going to be held up with some traffic. No, it's clean air for Lukaku. This could be big. He could extend the gap here. And Nando, what he's going to try to do is pit this lap, go quicker on the outlap and try heat his tyres up quickly. And he's currently pushing quite a lot here, is Nando. So he's definitely gunning for it. He wants to win his first race of the season here on Italian soil for Alpine. Nicosos pushing a lot as well, and Nuth, of course, at the fastest lap of the race, but struggling behind in front of Aries. Aries is putting him under some pressure, and we'll see, can Nando, is he going to box here firstly, and secondly, can he pull off an overcut? Lukaku is coming up to the back of Krypton, but there'll be no issues there. He's still 2.7 seconds behind.
I think the undercut has actually worked. Look at now, 2.7 seconds behind, as you say. The gap was around 2 seconds, so actually Lukaku has pulled out on now by a good 5-6 tenths of a second there. Nando comes in, Tomasetto stays out, Urpek, Nuth, Aries all stay out, Nando, Nicole, so Steven the win.
Nuth as well here. Aries has a lot of straight line speed. It's a dart out to the right hand side for Aries, and it's now an AlphaTauri 2-3 on home soil provisionally, but just keep an eye on the pits here. Nando is coming out of the pits, and here is Lukaku flying down the main straight. This one's going to be really close.
I think it's going to be really close, actually, between Nando and Now potentially coming out the pit lane here as well. There comes the Colsas out the pit lane. There's Now, there's Black Box, and I think they're just going to be ahead. Black Box hopefully heading towards Tamburello. He is indeed. It's the Alfa Romeo ahead of the McLaren, and he has got 2 lap pressure tyres, obviously, underneath that car. Lukaku now, though, is the leading medium runner at this stage, and obviously the net leader of this race out on track as well. Nando has come out in a net 2nd position, currently in 8th position, though. Now and Black Box, though, that now falls right into their hands, I think. They've got warmer tyres. They can attack Nando now while he's got limited battery.
Yeah, hasn't worked for Nando. Has not worked at all. He is now 2.4 seconds off the lead, where he was about 1.3, so the undercut's the powerful one. I think Nuth and Aries, etc., will drop a few more positions than they would have liked, as we see Tomasetto in, we see Airpec in. Obviously, that means Aries has to stay out for another lap, and Nuth is going to follow. Laurie and Krypton are still making their way around Ravazza and turn 18, and Lukaku has actually been held up a little bit here by Krypton. So this could be big if Krypton doesn't pit. Lukaku will be side by side with another car into turn number 1, and Krypton stays out. So here we go. It's actually going to be a lot easier for Lukaku because he does have the use of that DRS. But Nando will probably be stuck behind here through the slow sections of Tosa and Piratella possibly. But a real shuffle up here as Tomasetto comes out of the pits behind Nicosos, and he's almost lost the spot to Devon. Devon right on the back of the Williams here. Devon could go for him because Devon has the tyres warmed up. Tomasetto does not. Tomasetto defends into the Varanti Villeneuve, and the Williams will stay ahead here on lap 19.
Tosa corner around the outside of Tosa. I think this is going to be from Devon around the outside of Red Bull. Compared to the Williams, like Bambi and Ice currently on the Williams, and Devon absolutely mixes them right around the outside, and still Tomasetto's on the inside, and Devon's not using up any ERS at all. Round the outside of Piratella, they're going to make contact, and they're both round. That was never going to work. Devon on the outside line. To be fair, I think Tomasetto should have just gave up the place there and just obviously fight with them on the run through Aqua Minerale. Devon is round on that warmer compound tyre. Tomasetto unfortunately makes contact. I think he's going to be in the steward's office after that one as well. So unfortunate as Aries is into the quick lane from the lead of the race as well. Nuth continues on at this stage. So Tomasetto sending Devon round, and Devon unfortunately now on a one-way ticket, it seems, to scoring no points tonight unless there's a late safety car.
Oh, that was a beautiful move from Devon through Toza. It's the best move of the day by a landslide as Luca Curtis, the fastest lap of the race. Nando goes past Krypton, but yeah, Tomasetto, I am very sorry, but I think you might be taking a quick trip to the steward's room for that one. He may have had to back out there as Aries is going to come back out on the track behind AXA in P12. Airpeck still ahead of the Haas despite making a later stop.
Yeah, Urpek right on the back of Tomasetto, though. Obviously, after that incident, not sure if Tomasetto was carrying any damage. It didn't look like he was carrying any damage, to be honest, in the Williams. But Urpek did have a very good first stint of the race, and of course, expanded on the back of the Italian. Of course, first and let me have a look at the position changes. First and eighth currently, of course, in terms of their position. Starting positions, I should say. They're now currently fighting for each other, of course, in 9th and 10th position at this stage of the race. AXA there in 11th, Aries there in 12th. Aries now looks up the temperature, and he looks like he's a man on a mission at this stage. Krypton, by the way, is losing time to Nando, and in fact, actually, now right on the back of him, running down in towards Ravazza 1, as Nuth is into pit lane from the lead of the race. Lap 21.32. Nuth leading the way, Laurie in second, Luca Cart there in third, Nando in fourth, Krypton in fifth, now Black Box, Nikosos, Tomasetto and Urpek top 10, and Axel Aries, Firefox of Losavara, Tevin in top 15, and then Johan in 16th position right down the back of the field. Here comes now up on the back of Krypton. This should be easy, doesn't even need to use up the ERS to try and get past here. Now riding on the curb just to make sure, gives him plenty of room, and he's through, he's into fourth on Krypton. There's also Nikolsos and Tomasetto. Sorry, yeah, Black Box and Nikolsos side by side there.
Newton's almost binned it out of the pits. He lit up the rears. He's come out behind Aries, but Newt's going to be on good tyres to the end here, so keep an eye for FER Newt in the Alpine to possibly sneak into the top 10 points paying positions. But yeah, bit of a scrap now here between Airpack and Tomasetto. It could develop as the Williams has the bit between his teeth. As well, he's not had the best of races, it's safe to say. He was on pole, he had a horror show into turn 1, and then he made that collision with Devon just a couple of laps to go. Luca Cart leads by 2.6 seconds over Nando, and unless Luca Cart gets majorly held up by Laurie, he should dispatch the Mercedes fairly quickly.
I think it'll be this lap around, to be honest. Look at the speed running down the straight. 7 tenths clear. 7 tenths behind, I should say, of Laurie, and now on the back of him, and Black Box is going to be on the back of Krypton as well. Krypton falling like a stone through water, quite literally. Laurie into the pit lane, not going to make it any easier than that for Luca Cart, because Luca Cart now sent on his way. He's got clear air by around a 3-second gap now. Black Box on the back of Krypton, running down the straight in towards turn 1. Of course, Black Box has been causing a few waves on social media. Wants to cause a wave, though, by sending it past Krypton in towards turn number 2 at Tamburello. Should be easy for Black Box. Gets the job done. He's through and he's into 4th position. I think Aries has got past Axay as well, and Nuth also, I think, has just got ahead of Firefox. In fact, it's actually Laurie coming out of the pit lane that caused the graphics glitch there. But Nuth in 11th ahead of Firefox as well, so that is quite good. But that was easy from Black Box. Through and he's into 4th, and now focusing his road, race out on the road rather than out on social media.
Those a few unnecessary digs at Black Box. Where did this come from, James? Is the Kosos going to go more Krypton through Aquaman or Harley, possibly? No, he lifts off. The Kosos is clever, and that is a clever decision. Krypton needs to take a trip to the pit box here, although I think he is just waiting for a safety car, because no matter when he pits, he's going to fall to the back. He had that spin earlier on in the race, and Krypton is literally just waiting for somebody else to have that spin and possibly bring out a virtual or full course safety car. That is the tactic here, and he might be able to go for the softs towards the end of the race. It's clever thinking from Krypton, because really he's no chance in this one at points other than some outside factors assisting him. Tomasetto's going to go for Nikosos here, though this could be a double whammy for Tomasetto.
Tomasetto right on the back of Nikosos, running round the outside of Krypton. Could try and go around the outside as well of Nikosos, but I don't think he's going to lunge that, and he's learned from his turn 1 mistake. Tomasetto there, or lap 1 mistake, I should say. Tomasetto there into 6th, Nikosos into 5th, Krypton down to 7th, and now he's got Urpek and Aries to deal with it.
Great defending from the Kosos. He goes up the inside of Krypton and then instantly darts back over to the outside where he knows Tomasetto has nowhere to go. It's either into the back of the McLaren or into Krypton. I think if he had to make a choice, he'd probably go into the back of the McLaren, because Krypton is, of course, the head steward, but Airpeck is on the back of Krypton now, and it's going to be the sister Red Bull Powertrains team getting past the main factory runner. Doesn't dive him here, but he's under pressure from his teammates, so he's going to have to make this move quick. Is it going to be into the Varanti Alta as we have a yellow
Aries is
flag?
gone.
It is for the other. His teammates no longer behind him because Aries has had a spin through the Aqua Minerale, and that's awful. Awful for Aries. He was running a great race.
Exactly the same as qualifying, where he spun on the outside of the curb, coming through back with Minerale. He's done exactly the same thing. Luckily, no front wing damage in the car, and that just puts pain really to the AlphaTauri's choices. Red Bull, though, this time getting out the way of an AlphaTauri as compared to yesterday, of course, in the Netherlands. Urpek on the back of Krypton, running down in towards turn number 1. This should be easy for Urpek getting passed through. And Nuth, I think, is now on the back of Axay as well, running down in towards turn number 1. They're both in DRS, though, and the Bulls are going to remain as they are at this stage of the race as well. It's Tomasetto again on the back of Nicole Sauce, looking very quick indeed. And now he is meaning business, Tomasetto, on the back of Nicole Sauce. A second now to Black Box, who could be under threat potentially as well. Tomasetto really means business now. His second half of the race, I think, has been a lot stronger than his first, and he's now making up for lost time right on the back of Nicole Sauce.
Yeah, of course, he had pole and has had a poor race so far, and I think it's just a thing in Tomasetto's head of, right, I have good pace here. I may as well use it as... Krypton, of course, pulling out of the way for the AlphaTauri. Red Bull, a decent bit of history around this track. Of course, they've taken 2 wins in 2021 and 2022, and they also revealed a new energy station in 2005. But not a good race today, as they're unlikely to score points. It's completely out of Devon's control, as Devon was spun around by Tomasetto, but 5/10 is the gap. The only thing saving the Kostos now is he's Black Box right in front of him, and he is getting DRS off the Alfa Romeo, but Black Box could be under pressure here because Nicosas is quick and so is Tomasetto.
I'll tell you what, Axay right on the back of Krypton looks more immediate, and now absolutely sails on by, shooting the Haas. And now Nuth is going to try and get the double toe around the outside of both of them, down the inside now, in towards turn number 1, and Nuth has got absolutely both of them there, down in towards turn number 1, in towards Tamburello now at turn number 2. Nuth sailed on by Axay and Krypton, and that was a double toe of absolute perfection there from the German. Nuth threw in his into 8 on his fellow FBR man there of Axay in 9th, and Krypton there down in top 10. Krypton, I think, maybe going for that wooden spoon at the end of this race.
I think Krypton, he could take a fastest lap, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be it. Because he's almost out of the points and he still has to make a mandatory pit stop. It's going well for Krypton. Since that early spin, it's really not been his day here in Imola. Battle for 4th is developing up nicely, but that was just beautiful. Beautiful play by Nuth. He has the fresher tyres than everybody on the field apart from Laurie, and he is using them well. 1.9 to Airpack in front. Can he do it? We'll have to wait and see.
Devon right on the back of Alberto Vare coming out of Aqua Minerale. I thought he was actually going to try and go around the outside of Aqua Minerale there, to be honest. But Devon on the back of Alberto Vare, looking quite close as well. Speaking of looking quite close, Nicosas on the back of Black Box. Black Box is absolutely spent now in terms of his ERS, and Nicosas surely he's going to try. And now fly to the outside line. Tomasetto will catch him very quickly indeed. Maybe 2 for 1. In towards Tamburello. Krypton's into the pit lane. And now Tomasetto dives it down the inside of Black Box. Black Box has got to give him room. To be fair, he does. And Tomasetto now for the switch back out of Tamburello. Now on the run towards Variante Villeneuve. He's on the inside line. The Williams on the Alfa Romeo. Doesn't want to lunge it, and he lunges it again down the inside line. And that's what happens. 2 unlucky spots in a row. Tomasetto round. Black Box round. Unforeseen contact potentially could have been avoided there. It wasn't, and Tomasetto again. If he wasn't in the steward's boot now, he probably now is.
Oh no, that's really not good driving at all. That is that's better left uncommented, I think, on, because that was not good from the Williams. Black Box is still in 7th, and he's going to be fuming. Absolutely fuming as the Alfa Romeo, because Black Box could have had a podium in this one. It's allowed Nicosas to have a nice leisurely Sunday drive to the finish here, and it'll still be great points for McLaren on Ricky's absence. Black Box is on the back of Nuth, as Nuth is now up to 6, but does have a penalty. 1 of 3 in the field. We've been very good for penalties and collisions today, apart from Tomasetto and, of course, the 3 who do have the penalties. But Tomasetto's out of the points, and maybe Nuth won't get the wooden spoon after all. Or,
yeah,
not Nuth.
Yeah, Axay though on the back of Black Box. I think Black Box might potentially have a bit of damage on this car. Because the Alfa Romeo just looks slow coming out of Ravazza. Axay's not going to be closing in down and towards Tamburello. But if he does, and obviously if Axay could obviously try and rectify that, I believe he's got less on end plate damage looking on the car. He's not losing much time coming out of the Tamburello chicane though, and he now looks up to speed, so maybe it's just my eyesight potentially going, or he's now just beginning to get back into his rhythm and he's channeling that in a bit of anger that he's got. Yeah, it could be the tires.
the spin round. It could have been his tyres. He just needed to cool them down and cool himself down as well, because without question, he is furious in the cockpit of that Alfa Romeo, and I fear, as James was saying earlier, he's created a bit of a social media storm. I fear for the social media comments of Tomasetto after that one, but we'll see what the stewards do. It's the stewards' job to decide what happens on the track and who should be penalised for it, as we've seen Alberto Ferrari almost take a bit of a wobble there. He's under pressure from Ari's. Ari's trying to get himself back into this one after a spin through Aqua Minerale. But up the front, Luca Kart, well, if he doesn't make a mistake, he's won it pretty much. Nando just does not have the pace in this second stint.
And I've got to be honest, I think the podiums are already sorted, and maybe you could even factor in the top 6 are already sorted potentially. Apart from Nude's 3-second penalty, of course, that he got for corner cutting a little bit earlier on. Harry's on the back of Alberto Vara, though, in the meantime, absolutely sending it to the inside line of turn number 1. Now for Tamburello at turn number 2, and Harry's is through on the Aston Martin there of Alberto Vara. Catches the curveball through Tamburello, could give Alberto Vara a bit of a look in coming out of Tamburello. Doesn't get moved done, though, once again, and he still stays in 11th position. Laurie on the back of Johan, 13th and 14th. Mercedes obviously battling towards the back end of the field, but Luca can't lead the way now. Nando in second, now up in third. It's settled down towards the front end of the field. That's why we're not covering the action at this stage. But in terms of the actual pace, Urpek, 5th position, 1.3 seconds off Nicosos. He, to me, is now a man on a mission. He's now chomping his anger. There's a yellow flag, and then it's Tomasetto, I think, has spun. Once again, sorry, it's a Krypton, in fact, that spun. Coming out of Tamburello, so the Red Bull round coming out of Tamburello. Got the car back going again. I think he went off into the wall. Has he got front wing damage on the car? No, he hasn't, but he goes nearly for another spin. In fact, he has gone for another spin. Now he's in the wall, and luckily he's not out the race, but he has got damage.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Krypton. He made his earlier spin through Tamburello as well, as there was another penalty for Johan there. He's currently battling with his teammate. The two Mercedes almost made contact in Zandvoort. They are running close here in Imola. Zandvoort, of course, yesterday in the real Formula 1. Now Zandvoort on the calendar here in PSGL. We've had it for the last 2 or 3 seasons in a row at this point, but it's not here this season, as Luca Kart is controlling this one. As we said, no real action up the front, and the only gap within a second is the Mercedes battle, of course, and Axie and Black Box.
Yes, the one I'm on board with, actually, the Mercedes battle. Law I thought was going to be quite close enough, but he is got only 6% of ERS at this stage. Has Laurie, of course, forming a focal part of the Shizou Racing Championship lineup that ETA have currently got at this stage. And, of course, you can catch that tomorrow with me, just while I do a cheeky plug in there. And, of course, you can catch
I hope Jess isn't watching.
No, she's not. She's doing PSF1 at this stage alongside Aiden Carson. You can tune in for that as well. It is currently live, and I think they've just got going in towards qualifying as well. There we go. It was a good scene in, actually, as Krypton is into the pit lane. He's got that damage. Tomasetto now not on for the wooden screen, and Krypton retires in the pit lane. Not really surprised, to be honest. I don't think he was going to get much more out of this race. Unless there's a late safety car. I have seen a safety car being deployed this late in the race before in this game. Maybe we have to hope for one. However, Axe's got to hope to try and get past Black Box down towards turn number 2.
Yeah, here he goes, the Haasman.
Oh, look at the speed.
There's got to be different. Really good stuff for the Haas. Axie will promote himself up to 7th, but does have a penalty, so Black Box will probably keep 7th in this one if he can just keep with the Haas's. Axie's had a horrible run through Tamburello. Is Black Box going to have a bit of deja vu as he's entering the Varanti Villeneuve? No, he's going to sit behind, and the Alfa Romeo will sit behind the Haas, the 2 Ferrari-powered cars on a track that Ferrari love. Not today, they're about out of the race in the opening lap. What's happened there, James?
Sorry to cut you off. Laurie was down the inside of a Johan, down in towards Tamburello. He's up the inside line, pretty much like Tomasetto was a little bit early on to Black Box. And luckily, they avoided contact. Laurie's all over the back of him. He needs to save up his battery. He needs to, obviously, try and get this moved on the back of Johan. It's quite a fun fight, actually, between both Mercedes. They respect each other clearly. They're both in different teams, obviously, in terms of esports. Team Mentalism and ETA, who I've got a very good respect, as Tomasetto retires, coming into the pit lane there as well. So he is done out of tonight's race as well. Luca Kart leads the way, Nando in second, now up in third, and onto the final 2 laps we go, out on track, and the Kosos all of a sudden.
Rapidly. I've just been looking at the Kosos. He's flying through the Ravazza and through 18, and he's right on the back here, and he's gaining and gaining in the straight line. No battery on board for either of these, and the Kosos might try to keep up McLaren's performances this season as being the team with the most podiums, and Devon is in the points. He's up to 9th now again.
Yeah, he is indeed. He's through and he's into ninth. Easy job on Firefox in towards turn number 1 there. Very good stuff indeed from the Red Bull, who of course I think deserves a little bit more retribution, I think, out on track tonight compared to where he should be. Potentially down in ninth position currently, of course he is. Nicolsus, though, as you were saying there, Evan, on the back of now, final 4.9 kilometres, we're going to wait the drivers out on track, and Nicolsus means business, but I think he needs to save up that ERS to go for the move, because now is on 8%, Nicole Sauce has got 2% more. 2% more battery down the straight. Don't think is enough. Oh, it's now makes a mistake and a variant Alta.
That could be the difference. He's made a slide with the Variante Alta, and Nicosos is going to sit behind, get the DRS and the slipstream on that Williams. Narwarp is going to have to nail these final 2 corners if he wants any chance of keeping this podium. If he can defend into 1, just hope he has some turbo speed in that Williams. Here we go, down the main straight. It's going to be Nicosos on the back of the Williams racing car with Narwarp. This is for the podium, and Nicosos to the outside now. We'll force him the long way around the outside, and he's bargy here. He's going to keep it up the inside. They almost make contact, but Nicosos holds it around the outside, and Nicosos will make it 2 McLarens on the podium if he can just hold this one for the remainder of the lap. Aries has put himself into the points ahead of Firefox, pushing Aston Martin to a no score today, although Aries does have a penalty here, so Aston Martin will still score today as it stands.
Yeah, definitely so. I tell you what, though, you've got to respect Narwarp for the amount of room he gave Nicolsos there. Wheel banging down the straight and everything. He wanted that podium, I could just tell, in his gut. And now, actually, he could be losing up to 5th position on Erpek, because Erpek's right on the back of him.
Yeah, Erpek. What's happened here to Narwarp? Erpek's going to have to send one in an unorthodox fashion because he doesn't have a DRS straight to play with here, and Narwarp's going to have to defend for his life. How much is Erpek willing to risk for the AlphaTauri fans in attendance at Imola? Luca Kart's coming around the final few corners here, and we'll have to wait and see, can Erpek send one into the Ravazza?
Maybe so. Luca Kart around the final corner on the run to the line is going to win. I'm going to go on board with this battle for Erpek on the back of now. He's not quite close enough though. Luca Kart wins in the end here in Imola from Nando in second. Nicolsos there in third. Erpek's coming at now up to the line. That straight was longer. He would have got him. Erpek there in fifth. Now up in fourth, and there's a huge crasher coming across the line there as well. Nuth there in sixth. Blackbox in the end in seventh because of Axe's penalty, so they all got to gain positions. Devon in eighth. Axe in the end in ninth, and then Firefox ran off the top 10 only by 800ths of a second as well. Aries was right on the back of him towards the end. Alberto Var is out the points, as is Lore and Johan. At least the Mercedes, though, finish after their very promising start, of course, in the Constructors' Battle. This season, there's a car park on the right-hand side of the track coming across the line there. I don't know what happened there either. Driver of the day.
Battle and a half over the line in terms of it was a demolition derby, but Luca Kart takes a dominant win.
He does indeed, and Lore takes Driver of the Day, awarded by the in-game fans as well. Perhaps a few candidates for Driver of the Day here tonight. Very good racing though by all. Really hope you enjoyed that one, and of course, if you did, you can like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new, as we now get to the podium into the podium results, of course, and out on top is that man there, of course, prancing around like a God knows what in the McLaren. Of course, it is Mr. Hang on, I forgot who won. Quick.
Luca Kart.
Luca Kart, goodness me. I've only been commentating about 30 seconds ago on Luca Kart out on top there in the end. A very good result from the OP man at his home track as well. The Tifosi, as you could call it, potentially with the Italians, the Tifosi have run out strong with Luca Kart, of course, taking the win here tonight in the McLaren, and a fantastic race there by Nando to finish in second, and Nicolsos there finishing in third. Third, second and seventh on the grid, first, second and third at the end of this race. And Luca Kart out on top. Look at the fastest lap though. 4 tenths clearer than Nando, 6 tenths of a second clearer than Nicolsos. It was no wonder he was class above the rest here tonight, Luca Kart. Nando there in second, Nicolsos there in third, now up in fourth, Erpek in fifth, Nuth potentially my driver of the day there in sixth, drove a very astute race to finish from 14th on the grid up to 6th. Blackbox there in 7th, another one that deserved, I think, some really, really strong racing potentially in terms of Blackbox finishing in 7th. Devon there in 8th, very unlucky once again. Axe in 9th, Firefox there ran off the top 10. Aries came within a tenth of a second of being in the point scoring positions. Of course, these can all change, of course, after the end of the race here. Alberto Var in 12th, Lore in 13th, Johan in 14th. They're the only finishers. Tomasetto, Krypton, Jake Marsh, Frankie, Will Murdoch, and a Rocker ran up to 20. Luca Kart, by the way, is just coming through on my PS4. If you can hear that in the background on the Elgato, that is him coming through. And I can't do a single thing about it because we can't go out of the lobby. What I can do, though, is go to the interview screen for now and ask, of course, if anybody is wanting for interviews. But Evan, really good
Nicholas
racing.
has already denied us. He's already told us that he needs to go and have a dinner. So that's fair enough. He's driven a good race, and that's all we can really ask for. But we'll try to see if we can get anyone in. It's the usual weekly battle at this point is trying to get interviews. We have got a few. We got Frankie once, and we got Will Murdoch once, and that was it. But overall, it was a decent race. It's not one that's going to go down in the history books here in PSGL, but it was a dominant win from Luca Card, and there was two Italian McLarens on an Italian podium. Can't ask much more than that if you're an Italian PSGL fan.
Yeah, definitely so. Indeed, of course, Luca caught out on top. In the end, I think rather dominant over the rest of the field, of course, here tonight. Imola, I know, was one of his strong tracks coming into tonight as well. So obviously he felt that he had the pace potentially to obviously deliver, and that's exactly what he did, of course, out on track. Well, of course, we wait for the driver interviews to be conducted. Of course, we've only got one more race until the break week, and that, of course, is in Brazil in Sao Paulo next week for round number 8 of the championship. I really hope you're going to tune in for that because I think it is going to be, dare I say, race of the season candidate in Brazil. It's normally a good race around there.
Normally is a very good race around Brazil. I have to say, Interlagos is a fantastic track. It could be race of the season. We could have just jinxed it, and it's going to be the most boring PSGL race of all time. I really hope not. But we will have to wait and see. Just trying to get the guys in for an interview. Now I can't add Luca Cat for some reason, but we'll try to get Nando in and see if we can get Nando in for a post-race interview. It'd be good to hear from one of our podium sitters. But in terms of the results, there's a couple of guys who have got unfair results, some could say. I'd say Black Box and Devon probably deserve more than P7 and P8 respectively. Newt got P6 after unlucky opening stint, some could say, as he did well, but there's a lot of guys not happy with that one. There is a lot of guys in the Discord server not too happy with how that race went. Of course, there was a big opening lap crash, which saw 4 drivers retire from the race, and then there was other incidents with a few guys here and there. But as we're saying, looking forward on to Brazil. If you want overtaking, that's the track we go to.
It is indeed, and obviously after that is the break week, and then we go to Saudi Arabia, back to over the pond to the United States, of course, in Austin, Texas, and then once again to Silverstone, back home for round 11 of the championship, the final round indeed. Black Box saying as well there in the chat, make that 4 times I've been hit this season with my race being ruined. Of course, Black Box not very lucky, I've got to say, in terms of his racing out on track tonight. All caused by Tomasetto. I'm sure Tomasetto might be getting an incident report, or maybe several incident reports coming his way from the steward's room. Just waiting on Nando's response. I can see him typing there in the chat, so maybe we're going to get
Black Box in if we'd like to hear how his race went. As
Nando asking Nando's asking where we can talk. If you can see
get Black Box in as well, the more the merrier. I feel it could be a bad idea because he's probably a bit angry, and we'll tell Nando where Black Box is going to join us as well. We can tell the guys where to talk, and we'll get them in for a post-race interview. If you have any questions for Nando and Black Box, feel free to pop them in the stream chat.
Yeah, feel free indeed. We'll try and monitor, of course, the chat as we go along as well for the rest of the interviews. We'll go to the interview screen just while we prepare. Obviously, many comments coming through there as well. Luca Rata, I know, who was I think he was one of the engineers for QRT, if I'm not mistaken. He, I think, might have been supporting now potentially as well, and Gianluca as well there in the chat, who I think might be Luca Kart there in the chat, or Bravo Luca, so maybe not, but anyways, he's got a similar name. And you'll stay there in the chat saying Vamos, and Andrew, very pleased for Luca as well, so plenty of comments being shown there towards, and plenty of love being shown there as well. Hopefully we can get the guys in. I'm just on Discord.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm just on Discord awaiting their arrival, potentially into the waiting room. Either we can go into there or they can come into here. We'll try and see. If they haven't, though, and they haven't got access to the chat, however, Black Box has.
Shall
try
we
and
move
get them
Black
in.
Box in?
Yeah, I'll move him in now. Let's.
No, I have him here. We'll bring him in. It's going to be Black Box, so if you have any questions for him, do leave them in the chat. Hello, Black
Fan.
Box, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello, and it wasn't the best race. We feel you could have got a better result, as Nando's with us now. Nando, thank you for joining us, but we'll keep going with Black Box first. Where did you feel you could have ended up in that one if you didn't have the incident with Tomasetto?
Easily P4 and probably on the podium as well. I wanted to get the podium. We had the pace, I think so. No, I mean, it happens though. I'm not really going to be salty about it. These things happen, So just on to the next week. I was brought into PSGL F2 not expecting to get anything, but as the weeks went on, my focus has been to get one win at least by the end of the season. So you will see me on the top step for sure, but we just got to wait for that, I guess, for a couple more weeks at least.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously, talk us to that incident with Tomasetto, because I know what's going through your head right now. You're probably absolutely fuming at the Italian man. Was it an incident that I think you could have easily been avoided, or was it just one of those where the contact model just absolutely failed?
No. That was definitely his fault, but that's not. I'm not gonna say anything, because I don't want to. I'm already about to get cancelled for things I've said on Twitter. So if I say anything extra, then we'll see how that goes. But at the end of the day, these things happen. I made a big mistake last week where I rejoined the track and got a 10-second penalty for it, and I think penalty points on my license. I rarely get those, but people make mistakes, So. I mean, obviously, I was mad at him in the race and said a few things that my engineers heard that I don't want to repeat, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think honestly, you've got to channel that emotion and just realise that you have got pace out on track. You showed it tonight. You've got really good pace out on track. You have really good, strong attributions as well, obviously, to try and get a podium here tonight. Obviously, it didn't come out, but I know something more toward Johar as well as what's going on in Pakistan at this moment in time, because I know you're originally from there, Black Box, and obviously what's going on there I think is absolutely horrible. So I'm not sure if you want to say anything about that while we've got you on the stream.
I mean, honestly, just everyone who's watching, just one prayer is all I'm asking for, to be honest. A lot of people are being infected, and I will obviously channel my energy into the racing and try and get wins, but I can't really be thinking about that while I'm racing. That is too hard to think about. That's I can't really imagine. I'm lucky I'm here, So but yeah, I've just got to like you said, just channel my energy into this, channel all my anger, all my, even just how upset I am with those things going on back home. And one day, I'm telling you, James, I can do this. I will come away with the win. And
Are you saying we should believe in Black Box?
I think I am. I think we should bring that slogan back for PSGL. And I think I've got one win in F5 or maybe two, and I've been jumped up 3 divisions. Most people have been doubting me on that, but I know I've got the pace. My team know I've got the pace. Every single week, I've been either on par or outperforming Frankie when we're doing practice. And look how much success he's had in this league. It's just basically, I think it's down to luck at this point. I've been hit 4 times this season, and it's not been my fault. But yeah, like I'm saying, if you guys believe, all I need is you guys to believe as commentators. Believe in me, even though you're not meant to have a bias towards any driver. Believe in me, and I'll win. That's the thing we got to take away from today.
We remain unbiased towards the whole field here, by the way, in PSGL F2 to the viewers that are still watching us. In terms of Brazil next week as well, because we go to Brazil next week before the break week. How do you think you're going to get on around there? Is that a track that you like? Because I think I know you're quite quick around there.
Yeah, I'm quick. This track, Imola, was the best chance I had at a win, but it's just going to make me hungrier. That crash, the way Thomas has just hit me off like that, it's making me more hungrier. And I'm going to win. I'm going to win, bro. I'm going to win.
You are going to win.
We've left poor Nando waiting a little bit, so we're going to cut to Nando.
Sorry, Nando.
Quickly. It was a great race. Finished P2. How did you feel it went?
Sorry?
It was a great race. You finished P2. How do you feel it went?
Yeah, that was a great race. That was my first podium in F2, actually. feel disappointing because I think the win was possible today. Because I did a great start. I was first at the first corner, and Tomasetto did a great dive, and he pushed me off track. So I have to avoid the bumps. I have to go on the gravel, and I was P3 after that, so quite lucky. And after I have to push every single lap, and yeah, definitely great to finish P2 because it's my best result this season. But yeah, the win was possible.
Yeah, the win was indeed possible. Talk us through, obviously, that battle that we had, obviously, with Luca Kart out on track. Do you feel you had the pace out on track to obviously try and match him tonight?
Yeah, definitely. But I've got yeah, I lost yes fuel. I lost fuel. I have to do a lot of lift and coast, and yeah, it was too difficult to attack. But definitely the pace was there. But yeah, he was great all the race, and he deserved to win also. But yeah, when I was P3 and I was behind Nawarp, it was at this time it was impossible to be back. So yeah.
Yeah, we saw. I certainly mentioned in commentary that you were low on fuel. I think around the halfway stage in the race, and obviously that was concerning in terms of your pace as well. I believe as well. I've just been looking at the standings here. I believe you've maybe moved into fifth position in the standings with your best result of the season going into Brazil next week. How do you think you're going to get on if you're racing there?
P5. That's great. That's great. If it's the case, that's great. Honestly, Brazil, I love this track. So I have to train again this week. I have more time to train as well. So we will see what we can do. But yeah, hoping for another podium, and we will push to do the maximum as always.
Maximum as always, indeed. Both of you, Black Box and Nando, go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for those that are watching as well. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You are very welcome indeed. And that rounds us very nicely indeed from the interviews. A big thank you to Nando and to Black Box for giving a lot of time that obviously they maybe didn't even have to obviously give to us, and obviously we took that in great reward in terms of the interviews, of course, here tonight. It is very dark in my room and I can't be bothered to turn my light on, otherwise I'll have to leave the commentary box at this stage to turn my light on. So it is unfortunately going to mean that I'm just going to stick to the interview screen. I'm actually going to stick to the calendar screen for now. Obviously, we mentioned that to Nando and to Black Box that Brazil is next week, and Evan, it's one of these tracks where I think the drivers absolutely love, and certainly from my perspective, I absolutely love to commentate on as well.
Oh, commentating the Brazil race, it's fantastic. And for those of you who are still watching, we still have a decent viewer amount. We have about 17 still with us. Tune in. Tune in next week. It's going to be a brilliant race. The drivers we have on Showcase are drivers where they want to make a name for themselves in the esports world. How do you make a name for yourself? Around the outside of the deceit of Delago on the last lap. That's how you make a name for yourself. There's going to be some fantastic overtakes, some fantastic laps, and some fantastic racing, and Brazil will be a belter.
I'm just going to say this now. Closest race I had around there, 1,000th of a second covering the top two in the end. I think it was Jensen and Tom Robbo, who were both racing.
I had once.
Go on.
The top six separated by a second and a half in the middle of the race. That's how close it can get.
That is how close it can get indeed. So if you've been whetted that appetite even further, as I say, I think it was Tom Robbo and Jensen in terms of my battle that was going, and I think it was a championship battle as well. In the end, they went hammer and tongs the week before in Saudi Arabia. And guess what's coming up the week after? Saudi Arabia. So it's just all fallen into place, I think, for the PSGL calendar this season. Big thank you, though, to everyone that tuned in tonight. Obviously, in terms of the stream, hopefully everything was good. Looked like it was all good from my end as well. So really glad to have got through it in one piece. Seems like OBS is back working again, which is really good. And obviously, we can get back to things next week in Brazil. And a big thank you, of course, to you. You can't see him Stadium. But of course, a big thank you to Mr. Evan Dalton for joining me in the commentary box. As always, it is much appreciated, my friend. And of course, he was at the Norwich against Sunderland match. That's why he didn't turn up a couple of weeks ago. And obviously, Norwich won over Sunderland. So there's no tension here in the commentary box at all from that.
Yes, for those who don't know, I'm a Norwich City supporter, and James lives near Sunderland, so 1-0 to me.
Lives near Sunderland, lives in Sunderland, unfortunately, and
Oh yeah, the stadium is what I meant, but it's 1-0 to me. But he keeps calling Great Britain our home, so I suppose it's 1-1.
It is
of it all. But thank you very much to AT for saying great commentary. Thank you, and pray for Pakistan. Yes, of course, you know Black Box's message. Some things are just a bit bigger than PSGL, and that is certainly one of those. But thank you all for tuning in from my half anyways. It was another great race here in PSGL, and make sure you tune into F1 with Jess Games and Aidan Carter. Now it's a great season there as well. You don't want to miss it.
It is a great season there indeed, and I'm just going to tune into the stream, and they're actually already going 2 laps in. Ogiano, Yukita, Denerkel, top 3. Only 19 drivers racing. Looks like Marquez was caught up in a first lap incident there as well. So obviously we will go to PSF1. You might see us in the comment section very soon indeed. That ends us off roundly off tonight. Of course, we have to thank our sponsors, of course, GT Omega, as always, of course, for providing us with these great chairs, by the way. Evan doesn't have one, unfortunately. Still has got the IKEA written logo on the top of his, for GT Omega on the top of his chair. Wish you could see it. We'll have to show you it, I think, next week. And, of course, big thank you to Great Rival, our other sponsors as well. I don't have the video, still don't have the video and put it in, but we will have Grid Rival video back in next week. That is for sure, before we go on our Jolly Hollies for a week until we get to Saudi Arabia for round number 9. We're just waffling on anyways. Thank you so much for watching. We'll leave you, of course, with our outro. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega and Grid Rival, proudly supporting PSGL.